Is the new album from Alice Cooper, Road, worth a listen? Let's find out. Hey everybody, it's Nick here with you. Welcome back to the Rock Squad channel and welcome to my rock album review for the new album from Alice Cooper. It's called Road. Before we get to it, guys, if you love to rock out as much as we do here on the Rock Squad channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. Make sure to like this video, would appreciate that, and make sure to share this video online with your friends and fellow Alice Cooper fans. Road is Alice Cooper's 29th studio record. It's the follow-up to 2021's Detroit Stories. You know, I've never really been a huge Alice Cooper fan outside of those big singles that he's had over the years. Of course, obviously songs like School's Out, Welcome to My Nightmare, I'm 18, and of course, one of my personal favorites, He's Back, the man behind the mask from Friday the 13th. But aside from those big hits, I would say my main familiarity with Alice Cooper is, of course, his amazing cameo from Wayne's World.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
It's actually pronounced Miliwake, which is Algonquin for the good land. I also love listening to Alice Cooper around Halloween time. So with fall coming, it's perfect that he just released this new record because come Halloween time, a lot of people are going to be creeping out to Cooper. And with this new album, Road, it's kind of a concept album in a way, a theme album about a band and a crew on the road. Of course, Alice Cooper is one of the most legendary figures in rock and roll. So he knows a thing or two about being on the road. And it's kind of just basically a straight ahead, balls to the walls rock and roll album that sometimes feels a little bit cheesy and a little bit contrived. And really, how different can things get for Alice Cooper at this point? This is 29th studio record, 29 albums. He's had an amazing career, one of the most legendary figures of all of rock and roll. At this point in his career, it's not like he's going to reinvent his sound and do an entirely new thing. Overall, this is a thematically strong, but maybe sometimes melodically, musically cheesy album following a band on the road. And all the songs on this album reflect that, especially in their titles. You have tracks like I'm Alice, which of course is a great introductory track, Welcome to the Show, Rules of the Road, and Road Rats Forever, which I thought was a great tribute to the Cruz and the Road Rats that set up all these rock and roll shows that we love to go to, all of which these songs on Road are really strong tracks. And my favorite track on the record probably is White Line Frankenstein, which sounds like a mix of Warrant's Cherry Pie and Alice Cooper's own Feed My Frankenstein, which also coincidentally was on the Wayne's World soundtrack. Alice loves Frankenstein, which of course, Alice loves anything spooky. He loves Halloween. He's pretty much the king of Halloween. Feed my Frankenstein. Definitely one of the stronger songs on the album, one of the catchier songs, and I love the haze in the song as well. And there are other strong tracks on Road as well. I love the Big Goodbye. I'd say that's one of my favorite tracks on the record, one of the best riffs on the album, super heavy and super chuggy. Also really loved All Over the World. I love the mix of the riffs and the horns on this song, although it kept reminding me of Herman's Hermits song, All Over the World. All over the world tonight, all over the world. Also really loved Baby Please Don't Go, the ballad on the album, track 11 on this record. It took him 11 tracks to do something a little bit softer on this record. Every album needs at least one ballad, and I thought this had a really nice tender vocal from Alice Cooper. Who would have thought? And he finishes the record with a cover of The Who's Magic Bus, which I thought was a fitting closer to the record and also featured a killer drum solo. Unfortunately, there are some filler tracks on Road, which didn't really jump out to me and that I didn't really dig as much as some of the other tracks, and that would be Go Away, Dead Don't Dance, Big Boots, which I think he's trying to talk about something else on that song. Those songs maybe didn't jump out to me on this record as much as the others. Overall, this record hits all the hard rock Alice Cooper beats that it should. It feels like it's a pretty by the numbers rock and roll record, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's really great to be doing rock and roll music in 2023, and Alice Cooper does it, of course, very, very well, but it's standard hard rock and nothing crazy really happens here. And occasionally on this record, some of the lyrics and the melodies are almost nursery rhymish. They have the same meter and rhythm in every melody. But to his credit, Alice Cooper still sounds amazing on this record. He still has a great voice. He delivers the songs well. He hasn't lost any of his personality or his charisma, and he does some great things on this record and has, you know, Alice Cooper's signature spooky vibe. So what else do you need from him at this point? I liken listening to an Alice Cooper record to almost watching the 70s classic, The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like, I feel like Tim Curry could be Alice Cooper. I must also shout out the exceptional guitar work and solos on this record, courtesy of Nita Strauss, who is an absolute beast on this record, one of the best guitar players in the world right now. She sounds fantastic on this new record from Alice Cooper. One of the criticisms that I would say about this record is that the mixing is kind of underwhelming. The guitars are chugging along. They sound really good. The guitars sound huge, really great tones going on there, but the band sounds drowned out. You don't really hear the drums like you should. It doesn't sound as punchy as it should be for a hard rock record, but I heard and I read that they recorded this album live in the studio, so that could explain that. Lyrically, Road reminds me almost of a hip-hop album. It's very self-referential. The guy, Alice Cooper's singing about himself a lot on this record. He's the master of madness, and the album is about Alice and his band on the road. Very self-referential, and you know, really the first song on the record is called "I'm Alice," so of course it's going to be that vibe. But lyrically, it's very much about Alice and his experiences. Another thing that struck me when I was listening to this record is it kind of reminds me of a Ringo Starr album. It's well performed and recorded, but sometimes borders on ridiculous or cheesy. So you have mixed results. And that could be because these guys are getting up there in age. Their music is not exactly on the cutting edge of what's happening in rock these days. At the end of the day, I think what we're getting is a hard rock album from a living legend. And at this point, you either dig Alice or you don't, but we're still lucky to have him around and making music. So I was really happy to listen to the new record by Alice Cooper. But that being said, although I thought it was cool, I got my fill of Alice on this record. Now I'm not going to go back and rediscover his older records. It didn't make me want to listen to a lot more Alice Cooper, even though I love him and I love that old school cameo in Wayne's World.
I think one of the most interesting aspects of Milwaukee is the fact that it's the only major American city to have ever elected 3 socialist mayors.
Overall, I would give the new album from Alice Cooper, Road, a solid 3 out of 5. And that is it, guys. That is my review for the new album from Alice Cooper. It's called Road. Let me know what you thought of the record in the comments below. Let's get a little conversation going. Make sure to like this video. Would appreciate that. Make sure to subscribe, as well as check us out on social media on Instagram and TikTok at Rock Squad Pod. But I'll see you guys for the next rock album review here on the channel. Until then, rock on, everybody.